Hey, what's going on, guys? Give me 1 second here. Let me tweet out the stream, and then I'll jump into it. We got a little under 25 minutes until lock, so luckily, again, there's only 2 games, so don't think it's going to take that long, and then I'll get to your guys' questions at the end. So just bear with me. Last night, for me, went pretty well. SGA was the one let down again. No surprise, because he was chalk. I'll probably play him again Wednesday, and I'll probably be disappointed again. But other than that, I mean, the mid-range was really good yesterday. Middleton, I mean, I just mentioned I wasn't super high on Giannis because of the value, and he had struggled against the Heat. Middleton was good. CP3, Jimmy were good. Again, my one letdown there was SGA, but still ended up cashing due to Giannis being 70% owned, Iguodala being 50% owned. That really helped. Those two guys busting big time. So, yeah, that was a look back. I hope you guys all had a good night as well. So let's talk about this 2-game slate. It's an interesting one for sure because we have some overpriced guys with Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell. But also, again, this is not the regular season. It's completely different. Like, they're just taking over in the second half. I'm a little bit worried because I don't know if they continue to shoot that well, but we'll get to that. So, we're not really waiting on any news. Celtics starting their normal starters. Raptors are as well. I did retweet that Robert Williams, Brad Stevens confirmed he's going to be in rotation, which makes me feel a little bit more confident targeting him. Now, it's still an uneasy feeling going to a guy like Robert Williams because they obviously have Tice, and they can still use Cantor, even though he got a DNP that last game. DK, how's it going? Good, man. Hope you guys are all doing well as well. But all right, let's take a look at the spreads or the Vegas odds. So we have the Celtics Raptors, the 218.5 over under. Raptors 1.5 point favorites, and the Jazz Nuggets. It's a pick 'em right now, 218 over under. So very similar games. We're just focusing on the odds, right? Basically identical over under, and then like basically pick 'ems on both sides. So let's start with Boston today. Boston's an interesting team. I don't really have a good feel on ownership for this slate because, again, we have overpriced guys in that late game, but they've also just been going off. So are people going to go back there? Are they going to go with maybe the safer plays, which I would say are probably this game? Like, the safe studs for me for their prices are probably a guy like Kemba and then the 2 Toronto guards, whereas the maybe not riskier, but the guys that have more upside are guys like Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. You're going to have to overpay for them. So you're going to have to make some tough choices in this slate. And I don't really have a great feel. Tatum's at 9-2. He's going to go, I think, a little bit lower owned. Played 37 minutes. I mentioned this in my video, but I think he had 0 fancy points in the first quarter. Like, he had a stat line of literally 0 across the board. And he still put up 36, basically through 2.5 quarters as the blowout. So the upside for Tatum is around 60. He can hit that for sure. I know it's not necessarily the best matchup. Doesn't really bother me. The minutes will be there for him. If he's hitting his shots, he has that potential for upside. And I think maybe goes a little bit overlooked. Again, I don't really have a good feel. Normally, I have a really good feel on ownership for these slates. This one, I don't know. Like, are people going to go to Mitchell and Murray, or are they going to go more, in this game? So it's a trickier one. I think he might go a little bit lower owned, but the upside is still there with Tatum, and you're getting him, I guess, at a slight discount as compared to Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell. Kemba's at 7-6. So in my opinion, I think he is the safest Boston star. Of those top 3 guys with Jaylen Brown, Kemba, and Tatum, Kemba is the safest. And the reason being he's a point guard, so he has just a higher floor, right? He'll have the ball in his hands more opportunity for assists, and obviously can score the ball too, right? Went for 32 2 games ago against Philly. Put up 41 fancy points, 18, 10, and 3 stat line last game. So, and again, missed out on some minutes too. So he was probably on pace for high 40s in fancy points at 7-6. I think that looks really solid. Again, they missed out on 5 or 6 minutes at the end there. So Kemba is a guy that I think if you're playing a cash game setting, he stands out to me at his price. I like him a good amount as a safe option, and he still has upside too. Like, I think he looks the best for his price of those 3 Boston guys. Brown is in play due to the reason of he's going to be low owned. Hasn't really had a good game. If you just look at those recent game logs, last 4 games, 30, 33, 25, and 29. But he still has potential, right? If he's shooting the ball really well, he can go for 40, 50 plus. I just think he's a suboptimal play. Now, again, that doesn't make him out of play. You're going to get him at low ownership. So the reason why Brown is in play is for the ownership factor for GPPs. He is going to go overlooked. I think if people go to Boston, they go to Kemba first, which again I think is the safe route. I think that's the optimal route, but that doesn't completely rule out Jaylen Brown. He will fly under the radar in the slate. I don't hate the idea of going to him and hoping he outperforms a chalky Kemba. It's a risk for sure because I think Kemba is the optimal play, but not saying Brown's out of play. So that's what my thoughts are in the Boston guys. I have interest in all 3. I think Kemba looks the best still for his price. Tatum's obviously the guy that has the most upside, but you have to pay a premium for him, whereas Brown will be the lowest owned of the 3, but is in play for that reason alone. Smart's at 6K. This is a trickier one as well because he was chalk last slate. He was like 40, 50% owned in the higher dollar tournaments, and he had a really good shooting day. I don't think we get that again. He shot the ball 6 of 10, 5 of 9 from 3. He played well, but look at these other games, against Philly. 30, 8, 21, 34, 20, and 43 minutes. So the floor is somewhat low on him. He's out there more for his defense. I know he had a good shooting day the last time, and I still think he's viable. But I think the ownership might be a little bit inflated on him. So Smart's a guy I'm okay getting away with. If you land on him, I think he's a good option in the mid-range. I don't really have a strong opposition to him, but I think he might go a little bit over-owned today. Tice at 5.2, kind of my same analysis. I think he goes over-owned due to that last big game. It's a tricky one because there's so many similar plays in this high 4 to 5K range. There is, let's see, Daniel Tice. There is OG Anunoby. There is Royce O'Neal. There is Jeremy Grant. They're all, in my opinion, very, very similar. I don't really have a strong take on those 4 guys. I think all 4 are in play, but does one stand out more than the other? I don't really think so. So that's the part that makes the slate tricky is those plays in the mid-range. I don't really think one stands out more than the other. So Tice at 5.2, I think the ownership will be slightly up on him after that big game. Don't expect 13 and 15 and 2 blocks and a steal. It's a tougher spot. I think we get 25-ish minutes. I think we probably get somewhere around 25 fancy points from Tice. And at 5.2, I think that's more than okay in the slate. I don't think he's going to go for close to 40 like he did the last slate. I think that was more of an outlier. So the ownership probably will go up on him. I don't mind if you get to Tice. I just think he will be a little bit higher owned, kind of like Marcus Smart. Wanamaker is a guy I actually punted with the last slate. It kind of worked out. 28 minutes, 17 fancy points. Now, he did get a little extra run there in the blowout, but he was on pace for over 20 minutes in a close game and then finished the game in the blowout. So in 20 minutes, are you going to feel good about playing Brad Wanamaker? Absolutely not, but I think he's viable if you're going the stars and scrubs. If you want to jam in Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum, if you want to jam in those guys, probably have to play a guy like a Brad Wanamaker. So I'm not super excited about it, but I think he's in play for the reason of he allows you to get to those other guys. Cantor was a DNP last game. Could that change? Yeah, you never really know with Brad Stevens, but I'm not going to take a shot there. Robert Williams is the value play that I like here at 3-3. I'm willing to take the risk. Sure, he shot the ball 5 of 5. I know he's not going to shoot the ball a ton, but there was already a quote that Stevens said Robert Williams is going to play. So as long as Cantor doesn't see the floor, I think we get 15-ish minutes from Robert Williams. And he's a really good point per minute guy. So I think I would probably rather have Robert Williams than Brad Wanamaker. Wanamaker probably plays a few more minutes, but Robert Williams is the guy that has a little bit more upside, a better point per dollar play. So I like Robert Williams. My worry is I feel like there's an outside chance that Brad Stevens throws Cantor into the rotation, and then it's a 3-headed monster at center, and then no one gets any value. Tice plays 20, 25-ish minutes. Cantor plays 10, and then Robert Williams plays 10, and then it just kills everyone. Still viable, but if we get 15-ish minutes from Rob Williams, I think he makes for a good value option. Let's talk about Toronto now. So Siakam, in my opinion, is an easy fade. I'm not paying 8K for Siakam. I know he got in foul trouble last game. He still played 34 minutes though and had 22 fantasy points. He had those 2 big games. One was, or both obviously against a really bad defense in Brooklyn, and that last game was again different circumstances. You had Lowry injury, you had Fred VanVleet foul trouble. He didn't play the whole first half. So Siakam's not a guy I'm going to get to. I'm going to fade him. The 2 guards for Toronto I do like. Fred VanVleet and Lowry. I like both. Fred VanVleet at 7'8", shot the ball 3 of 16 last game. He shot the ball 3 of 16 and put up 40 fantasy points. Imagine if he has a decent shooting day. Now, sure, right? I know that outlier 6 steal is there. He's not going to get 6 steals again, but it's just what I like about VanVleet. Like, he has a somewhat high floor because he'll get you the assists, the rebounds. When he's scoring the ball, he can go for 40 plus, 50 plus. So with VanVleet and Lowry, they're both almost identical plays to me, to be honest. I don't really have like a strong take on who I prefer between Lowry and Fred VanVleet. They're basically identical prices. Both will play close to 40 minutes in a close game. They both were, solid in a blowout, right? They missed out in like 6 minutes, though, so they were both on pace for over 40 minutes. Like, what you know from these Toronto guys is they're going to get the minutes. Like, they'll both probably push for over 40. So I like both Toronto guards quite a bit. I think VanVleet, Lowry, and Kemba would probably be the lineup I would start with if I was making a cash game lineup. I think the 2 Toronto guards and Kemba are the safe way to go. Now, obviously, again, we'll talk about Mitchell and Murray in a bit, but that's, I think, the safe option. Ibaka's at 6'2". I'm not going to do it. I know he was really good in that Brooklyn series. Again, this is not the same team. This is Boston team was pretty good defensively. He had a really good start. Can he still get you there at 6'2"? Yes, but I don't know if I'm going to prioritize him. So he's a GPP option. Like, Ibaka can still go for 30, 35 plus, but he's never going to play like more than like 25 minutes unless something happens to Gasol. So not super excited about Ibaka. Norman Powell's at 4'9". He's a GPP play. His floor is somewhat low. We saw it the last game. He does have upside, though. He can go for 30 plus for sure. He has to hit his threes, though. So he's a riskier option in the mid-range, right? You have a lot of similar plays that I mentioned. Powell's probably a guy that's a bit different. So he won't play as many minutes, but maybe has more upside than those other guys like Tice, Grant, O'Neal, OG Anunoby. Because if he's hitting his threes, he can go for 30, 35 plus. But the floor is probably the lowest on him, I'd say. So he's strictly a GPP play. OG Anunoby is probably your safer option at 4'8" because the minutes will be there on him. He'll play 35-ish. He's out there for his defense. Again, I know a lot of people are going to ask me questions of like Tice or OG or Grant or Royce O'Neal. My answer is I don't have a strong take. All 4 guys are almost identical plays to me. So, I think OG is a decent option. I don't think he's going to win you a GPP, but I don't think he's going to kill you either. Marc Gasol's at 4'1". So with there being not amazing value on this slate, we got 26 minutes at last game, which is good to see. Like in the Brooklyn series, he was only playing around 20. So if he's going to play mid-20s minutes, then he becomes a little bit more viable. I know he's a shell of his former self. I don't really want to play Marc Gasol, but this slate is kind of forcing my hand to have interest in him for sure because I want to get Jamal Murray. I want to get Donovan Mitchell in my GPP lineup. So in order to do that, I have to play a guy like Marc Gasol. So not super excited about it, but if he gets 25-ish minutes, I don't think he's going to kill me. And then don't consider Davis, RJ. They won't play they'll play very, very little. Let's move on to Utah. So Utah, Donovan Mitchell, the big question is, what are you going to do with Mitchell? What are you going to do with Murray? They have been outstanding this series. Now, sure, they've been shooting the ball amazing. So I don't really know what the ownership is going to be. Because in 3 of the 6 games, he's gone for 81, 66, and 67. And Denver cannot stop Mitchell. The pick and roll, they just can't stop it. Like, I don't know why they're not doubling, but they don't. So Mitchell is a riskier option. The safe options on the slate are Kemba Walker and the 2 Toronto guards. That's the way I would go if I'm playing it safe. I think they look the best for the prices. Mitchell is overpriced, but the upside is enormous. I know like he's been shooting the ball really well, so maybe comes back down to earth a bit. So it's a tricky one. I told you guys the way that I'm going, though. I'm playing Mitchell. I'm playing Murray, hoping they continue their form in the playoffs. I know I'm overpaying for both. I know that. But I just think the upside, like we've seen, is absolutely enormous on both those guys. Rudy Gobert is probably one of the easiest fades of the slate at 7-9. There's just no way I'm going to Rudy Gobert. In order for him to really crush, he needs a game with like 4 blocks, 4 steals. Like he literally needs that. Because they're not gonna like dump the ball to Rudy Gobert in the post. He's out there like defensively. He'll get like putbacks. He'll get like alley-oops. But that's it. Like they're not like running their offense to Rudy Gobert. So I'm just not paying 7-9 for Gobert. Conley's at 6-8. Is one of those guys that I'm fine with. He's in the mid-range. If you're going more of maybe the balanced approach and you want Utah exposure, you don't want to pay up for Mitchell and overprice Mitchell, then yeah, go to a guy like Mike Conley. He'll play 34-ish minutes, probably get somewhere between 30 to 40 fancy points. So I think Conley's a good option in the mid-range. Clarkson's at 5-4. I think he is a guy that can go for 30-plus. My worry with Clarkson is he's scoring dependent, so the floor can be somewhat low. But when Mitchell's not out there, like the offense is like kind of give the ball to Clarkson. So I have been interested in him at 5-4. I don't think he's an amazing play, but I think he's a good option mid-range. Ingles, the minutes are still down on him, even in close games. He's really taking a step back offensively. So can he still get you like 25 to 30? Yes, he has to have a good shooting day. He's just not shooting right now. 2, 4, 8, and 4 shot attempts. So I'm not going to get to Ingles. I would much prefer Jordan Clarkson, who's just a more aggressive offensive player right now. Royce O'Neal's at 4-5. He's going to play 35-ish minutes. He's out there for his defense. I think he's in play for sure. Him, OG Anunoby, Jeremy Grant, Daniel Tice, all in that mid-range. Those forwards are all almost identical plays to me. So I think he's certainly viable here. Niang's at 3-5. He's like a similar play to Brad Wanamaker. He'll play 15 to 20 minutes. Has a pretty low floor. I would say a floor of about 7 or 8 fancy points. Ceiling for him is probably 20. So if you're going really risky and taking some shots on some really cheap guys, I think Niang's viable. And that's really it for me. So let's talk about Denver really quick. We got 7 minutes till lock. Denver, Murray, big question is, again, what do you know with Murray, Mitchell? I'm playing them. I know they've been shooting the ball unreal. I definitely could see them come back down to earth in Game 7 and not shoot as well, but it's a shot I'm willing to take. And I'm playing riskier on these smaller slates, so don't really know what the ownership is going to be on these guys, to be honest, but I'm going to play Murray and Mitchell. That's the direction I'm going because the upside is just absolutely enormous on both of them right now. Jokic is at 9-5, just a contrarian play. Murray, if people are playing a Denver star, they're going to go to Jamal Murray. So Jokic is probably your safer option as a spend up. He has a higher floor than Jamal Murray, whereas the ceiling is obviously way higher with a guy like Murray. MPJ is a risky play off the bench. He could play anywhere from 15 to 35 minutes. If he comes off the bench and plays well and shoots well, then he could get extended. The upside is still there. Like he could go for 30 plus, but it's a riskier play for sure. Grant at 5-1 is probably, I guess, your safer play because you know he's going to get 35-ish minutes. Again, don't really have a strong take here. I think he's a good option. Him, Tice, OG, Royce O'Neal are all guys I'm considering in that mid-range. Millsap's a guy I'm going to fade at 4-7. Just the minutes are just not there on him. He's just, don't play Millsap. Monte Morris, I'm probably going to stay away from too, even though we got extended a bit. We have Gary Harris now back. I think that hurts the upside a bit of Monte Morris, so I'm not going to go to Monte Morris at 4-2. Gary Harris is in play here. He's out there for his defense. I think he gets extended a little bit here, maybe 25 to 30, and obviously a must-win game. I think he's in play. I don't think a lot of people get to him, because obviously he didn't have a good Game 1 with only 8 fantasy points, but he can go for like 25 or so fantasy points, so he's a viable punch for sure. Torrey Craig's a guy I'm going to fade. I know he had a decent game the last time out, but I'm just not chasing that. Like that is a huge outlier game for Torrey Craig going for 25. So I will not be playing Torrey Craig. Plumlee not getting enough minutes, and that's it. So that's what I got, guys. Again, for cash games, if you're going for safety, I think it's Kemba Walker and probably those 2 Toronto guards. That's the way I would go for safe approach. If you're going for the upside, that's the way that I'm going. Is I'm playing Murray and I'm playing Donovan Mitchell. So let's get to some questions here. We got about 5 minutes to lock. Murray or Mitchell? I would prefer Jamal Murray over Donovan Mitchell if you made me pick. I have Murray and Mitchell, but no Niang or Craig in my lineup. I feel good about that. I have the same. I have Murray and Mitchell, and I don't have either Niang or Craig. So, yep, I'm the same with you. Let's see. Yeah, no way you can chase that fluke Craig game. I'm not doing it. Yep. Tice or Grant GPP. I guess Grant, because I think the ownership might be up on Tice for the big game. I have both those guys in. Again, they're very, very similar plays. So I think you can play Robert Williams and Tice together because Robert Williams will most likely be out there whenever Tice is not. Any core, understand if core on a short slate. Yeah, so cash game core, it's going to be Kemba Walker and the 2 Toronto guards. For GPPs, I'm going with Mitchell. I'm going with Jamal Murray. I don't really have a strong take. Like Robert Williams is a punt I'm playing with. I'm playing Robert Williams and Marc Gasol. If you guys want to know, like those are my punt plays. Do I feel good about either? Absolutely not. But they allow me to get Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell in. So I'm punting with both centers stay in Gasol, in Robert Williams. Lowry or Fred VanVleet. I think Fred VanVleet will be higher owned, so Lowry and GPP. Even though, personally, I am playing Fred VanVleet. Like, he's the one guy, he's the stud in the early game that I'm playing. O'Neal will be chalk, I think. I mean, if he's going to be chalk, then I'm okay going to a guy like OG Anunoby or Jeremy Grant or Daniel Tice. There's guys right around that price range that I think are all very similar plays. So if O'Neal's the guy that's going to get all the ownership, then just go to Grant. Go to OG. Go to Tice. My line is Mitchell, Murray, Grant, OG, Williams, Fred VanVleet, Tice, and Gasol. I think that's my lineup as well. Tice or MPJ. Tice for the cash play. MPJ may be the GPP option. He's risky off the bench. The minutes are up in the air, but he's obviously a better offensive player and can go for he can break the slate if he shoots the ball really well. So yeah, Tice for safety. MPJ maybe for that riskier play. Kemba or Tatum. It's going to be Kemba for his price. Now Tatum's not out of play. I like Tatum. I think he flies a little bit under the radar. But yeah, Kemba first price. Murray, Mitchell, Niang, Tice, Time Lord, Wanamaker, Powell, and Jokic. You're taking some shots there, Niang and Wanamaker. But yeah, I mean, you got Murray, Mitchell, and Jokic in there, so don't hate it. It's risky for sure. Tice or Clarkson? I'll go Clarkson there. I like his upside a bit more than Daniel Tice, even though Tice had the big game last time out. I think it was more of an outlier. I don't hate Tice, but if you can get to Clarkson, I think I like his upside a little bit more than I do Daniel Tice. Play Kemba and Tatum? Yeah, you can definitely play both. You can definitely play both Kemba and Tatum. That's not the route that I'm going, but that is certainly viable. Lowry and Tatum, Brown and Mitchell and GPP. I'll go Lowry and Tatum, even though, I love Donovan Mitchell's upside, but I'll go Lowry and Tatum there. I'm punting with Niang. It's a gross play, I know that, but if it allows you to get and Harris, yeah, it's fine, right? You're not going to feel great about playing Niang. I told you guys the way I'm going. I'm punting with Robert Williams and Marc Gasol. Certainly don't feel good there, but Powell, Gasol in the utility spot. Well, it's Gasol for the safer option. Powell definitely has more upside. So if you're shooting for that upside, it's Norman Powell. I'm going MPJ and GPP. Yeah, I don't hate the idea of going to MPJ. It's just the minutes are, I have no idea. It's Mike Malone. OG or Powell? Again, Powell for the upside. If you're shooting for that upside, OG is probably the safer play. So we're going for safety. OG, Powell, upside. Conley, VanVleet, OG, O'Neal, Williams, Murray, Tice, and Walker. Yep, very, very similar to what I'm going with. How does this look, DK? Murray, Mitchell, OG, Grant, Gasol, Fred VanVleet, Royce, and Williams. Again, very, very, very similar to the route that I'm going. Thanks for the advice, brother. Let's take down GPP. Let's do it, man. Wanamaker, Fred VanVleet, MPJ, Tice, Williams, Murray, Grant, Mitchell. Yeah, I don't mind that you're taking some shots, but I like the upside there. Placer dropped some Dallas Empire. I saw that. That was sad. They're switching to 4v4. I'm putting Clarkson over Gasol. Yeah, I like the upside more with Jordan Clarkson than I do Marc Gasol, for sure. Wanamaker, Williams for value. I prefer Robert Williams to Wanamaker. He's a better point per minute guy, so as long as Cantor doesn't play, I think we get 15-ish minutes from Rob Williams there. How much did you like Tatum today? I liked him, but I didn't get to him for the reason of I'm playing Donovan Mitchell and Jamal Murray. So let's go over some ownership. I'm really curious to see what it is. I didn't have a good feel. I did not have a good feel on ownership for this slate. So let's see. Murray or Mitchell? It's going to be Murray. Fred VanVleet, 38% owned. OG Anunoby, 53%. This is my lineup. OG, 53%. Tice, 54%. Gasol, 47%. Robert Williams, 38%. So everyone hovering around the mid-range there. Marcus Smart, 36%. Let's see. I'm trying to find some other ownership here. Kemba, 34%. So with Kemba being lower owned, Brown is 44%. People went to Jaylen Brown over Kemba. That's interesting. I guess because he's a forward, but I would have rather had Kemba over Jaylen Brown. Kyle Lowry, 38%. So no one. I haven't found Tatum yet. Let's see. Wanamaker, 16%. Siakam at 23%. I'm okay getting away from that. Tatum at 22%. So it's shaping up to be that Murray and Clarkson, or not Murray and Mitchell are probably going to be higher owned. With no one being super chalk in the early game, that's kind of what's pointing to. OG 60% owned. Sweet Jesus. Tyson OG 60% my single entry. Yeah, they're pretty high owned for me too. What did I say? I have OG at 53%. Tice at 54%. I have VanVleet at 38%, Gasol at 47%, and Robert Williams at 38% is the ownership that I have. Yeah, damn it, Tice. Let's see. 30% owned Smart, 25% owned Ibaka, 25% owned Powell. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. There are riskier plays in guys like Ibaka and Powell off the bench, but the upside is there. I like Conley, VanVleet, Powell, OG Williams, Walker, Tatum, and Clarkson. Yeah, I like that too. Ryan, that's Portland, though. Jokic and Nurk hate each other. I got Lowry at 25. Yeah, I mean, I like the ownership in Lowry. I liked, like, my cash build would have been probably Kemba and the two Toronto guards. For some reason, Gasol is pushing 50% of my single entry. Well, there's not a lot of great value on the slate. Again, I played him. I don't feel good about it, but I'd rather play a guy like Marc Gasol over Torrey Craig, or who else is down there, right? So I played Gasol. I'd rather play him than Monte Morris. I feel a little bit more comfortable with Marc Gasol than I do Gary Harris. I feel more comfortable with Gasol than I do Torrey Craig. I like Gasol better than Niang. I like him better than Wanamaker. So my punts were Marc Gasol and Robert Williams. For all the guys that cheap, I feel like those two stood out for me. Time Lord, take my energy. Hopefully he gets some minutes. I'm still a little bit worried, but he played good last game. Pray actually win more than 33 cents. Wow, I don't think I feel good about any of my lineups in this slate. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have it's just a weird slate. Like last slate, I felt pretty good about the mid-range, right? With guys like Jimmy, and like all the Miami guys. I liked Middleton as a pivot off of a high-owned Giannis. I liked, Chris Paul. This one is just like, you're overpaying for Mitchell Murray. You know that. But it's like, are they going to continue to shoot that well? It's a tricky one for sure. I didn't play Gasol on the $12. I mean, I don't think Gasol is a must-play by any means. I just liked him as a really cheap option. Gasol, 19%, come on. Porter or Grant? It's going to be Grant for a cash game and probably MPJ for a GPP. If you're shooting for that, I mean, he's a riskier play for sure, MPJ. Boston Insiders, Williams around 15 DK points tonight. I'll take it. I'll take 15 at 3-3. Yeah. Fred VanVleet, 31%. I like the ownership on Fred VanVleet. He's won me a lot of money in these playoffs. Early on in that Brooklyn series, when he was like 20% owned, he went for 60. Got him low owned a couple times. Like I would just constantly pair Fred VanVleet with Karis LeVert. But yeah, I like Fred VanVleet a lot. Bro, Jaylen Brown 70%. surprises me a little bit. Like, he was only 40% in the $66 tournament that I'm in, but I would have rather had Kemba Walker. That's just me. I thought Brown would be lower owned. He was actually higher owned. So that, again, I didn't have a good gauge in ownership. That surprised me a little bit. Semi Ojeleye 1%. I'm okay getting away from that. I think Toronto guards are about to have a good game. Yeah, I liked both. Melitz Hope stacked Lowry, Fleet, Brown, and Tatum. Yeah, I mean, that is interesting. Like, the early stack is going to be lower owned. I mean, you just saw the ownership's not super high. Sportsbook, Murray over 35 plus 230 odds. Yeah, I mean, Siakam 18%. I'm okay getting away from that. I don't know. Siakam's been weird. Like, he had one or two good games due to injury, foul trouble, and then obviously the great matchup, but I just prefer the Toronto guards to Siakam. I don't hate fading Murray in favor of playing Mitchell Jokic because I think Utah will have hell-bent getting in. Yeah, so that's a good point. Like, does Utah just go full on to stop Jamal Murray? Do they? Well, they haven't yet, and Denver hasn't yet with Donovan Mitchell. Are they going to do it in Game 7? I don't know. Quincy could lose a job if he does it. I mean, they literally have not changed. Like, it's been 3 straight games where Murray's gone nuclear. And basically the same with Donovan Mitchell. And the defense has not changed. So will it change in Game 7? I'd say probably not. You never know. And like I said, saw Jokic go Super Saiyan in Game 7 last year. I don't hate that. I don't hate the idea of pairing Jokic and Mitchell and fading Jamal Murray. Because you know everyone's going to play Murray over Jokic. You know that. So I don't hate the idea of getting Jokic as a contrarian play. People betting on Brown not getting foul trouble. Brown is high owned because there's not many great forwards below him, and people don't want to spend up for Tatum. Yeah, I guess that does make sense. That why he got that much ownership, but at 7-3, no, Tice 55% owned, faded him. Let's hope for a bad game. I played him. I don't usually like playing guys after a value guy after a big game, and especially after they get a big price hike. But yeah, you can't double team in NBA today. Too many athletes in perimeter game. Brown or Siakam, that's it. Yeah, I mean, Brown and Siakam were two guys I weren't super high on. To be honest, Siakam, didn't really like him. Brown, only reason I thought I liked Brown, I thought he'd be lower owned. He came in higher owned than Kemba, which again did surprise me. But all right, guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up here. So I'm gonna head out of here. Good luck today. If you guys have any questions, you can always hit me up on Twitter. The link is in the description below. But yeah, I'll have a video up for Wednesday slate tomorrow. Can't wait to play SGA again and have him lose me more money. But yeah, good luck, guys, and I will see